You need to leave. This is for family only. That is what my father said to me at my own sister's wedding after I had spent 18 hours on a plane just to be there. I was standing on a gravel path lined with white peonies, my carry-on still in my hand, while a string quartet played softly behind the closed doors of a venue I was not allowed to enter. My mother stood 2 steps behind him and said nothing. 3 days later, she called me about an invoice, a $38,000 invoice, with my name on it, for a wedding I had been turned away from. What I said next made her fall completely silent. Before I continue, please take a moment to like and subscribe, but only if this story truly connects with you. And tell me in the comments where you are watching from and what time it is there. I always love seeing where everyone is. My name is Athena. I am 34 years old and I work in compliance consulting in London. Now let me take you back to 4 months earlier, to the day I received a wedding invitation I should never have trusted. Growing up in the Sinclair family meant living through 2 completely different childhoods inside the same house. There was Paige's childhood, the one filled with homecoming dresses, attention, and a used Honda Civic waiting in the driveway on her 16th birthday, paid for by a father who called her "my little star," as if it were the most natural thing in the world. And then there was mine. Mine was the version where I filled out my own college applications at the public library because no one bothered to remind me the deadlines were coming. My father, Gerald, owned a small building supply store on the south side of Charlotte. He spoke about it as if it were an empire. In reality, it was a cinder block building with a roof that leaked and 3 part-time employees who never lasted more than a season. My mother, Donna, stayed home and kept the peace. At least, that is what everyone called it. What it really meant was agreeing with whatever Gerald said and moving every uncomfortable moment toward whoever would resist the least. Most of the time, that person was me. Paige was 5 years younger than me, naturally charming and fully convinced that life arranged itself around her because it was supposed to. I do not say that with bitterness. I say it because that belief became the foundation for everything that came after. I left home at 18 with a partial scholarship to UNC Charlotte and a savings account I had built from tutoring. No one drove me to campus. No one helped me carry boxes into my dorm. I did not expect them to. 7 years ago, when I was 27, I accepted a position with Whitfield and Crane Consulting in London, compliance analysis, the kind of work where you read contracts line by line, searching for the detail that does not belong. I was good at it. In a way, I had been training for that job my entire life without realizing it. Eventually, I bought a small 1-bedroom flat in Canary Wharf. It was simple, clean, and mine. Every square foot was paid for with money I had earned myself. I did not leave home. Home had left me first. The invitation arrived on a Tuesday in late September, tucked inside a thick cream envelope with a foil-pressed return address and Crane & Company stationery. I recognized the weight of it immediately. Someone had spent real money on this. Inside was a formal invitation to the wedding of Paige Sinclair and Tyler Redmond to be held at the Whitmore Estate in Charlotte, North Carolina on December 14th. Black tie optional. The Whitmore Estate. I looked it up. It was a restored Southern Estate-style venue with crystal chandeliers, manicured boxwood gardens, and a starting price of $25,000. For a family that supposedly could not afford to fix the air conditioning in the building supply store, this was not a small decision. But what made me stop was the note Paige had tucked inside. It was handwritten on a separate card in her looping script. "It would not be complete without you. Please come. P." 7 years. In 7 years, my parents had only called me when they needed something. A co-signing question that Gerald quickly pulled back. Help understanding a medical bill that Donna wanted me to explain. Paige called on birthdays sometimes. Christmas was usually a group text. And then came this, an invitation, a personal note, a request that almost sounded like it meant something. I booked the flight that weekend. London Heathrow to Charlotte Douglas, economy, $1,400 round trip. I told myself I was not going because I had forgiven everything. I told myself I was going because I wanted to see whether they had changed. There is a difference between forgiveness and curiosity, and at that moment, I was holding on to curiosity with both hands. When I told Rachel Torres, my closest friend from college and now a paralegal at Barnes & Whitfield in Charlotte, she texted back, "You're actually going? Bold move." I should have paid more attention to her tone. I landed at Charlotte Douglas on a Friday evening in December. The terminal smelled like cinnamon rolls and jet fuel, and everything around me felt both familiar and strange. The drawl of the gate agents, the humidity still hanging in the air, even in winter. I picked up a rental car at the Hertz counter and drove to the Hilton Garden Inn near the University District. I never stayed at my parents' house when I visited. That had been true for years. By then, no one even questioned it. From my hotel room, I called Paige. It rang 5 times. "Hey," she said, a little too brightly. "You made it." "I just checked in. Anything I should know about tomorrow?" "Just be at the venue by 2. Ceremony starts at 3. Her voice had that clipped sound people get when they are in a room with others and do not want to say too much. "I have to go. Rehearsal stuff. See you tomorrow." "See you tomorrow." She ended the call before I could say anything else. Then I called my mother. Donna picked up on the second ring, and the first thing she said hit me like a stone dropped into still water. "Oh, you actually came?" I paused. I thought, well, the flight is so long. I figured you might change your mind. I sat on the edge of the hotel bed in my Burberry trench coat, my Rimowa suitcase still standing upright near the door, and let her words settle. She did not say she was happy I was there. She did not say she would see me tomorrow. She said she thought I would not show up. I told her I would be at the venue by 2. Then I ended the call. Something felt wrong. I could sense it the way you sense a shift in cabin pressure on a plane. Nothing obvious. Nothing you can point to. Just a quiet change in the air that makes your ears ring. I barely slept that night. Saturday, December 14th, I got dressed carefully. I wore a fitted navy dress I had bought on Regent Street for this exact occasion. Low heels, pearl studs, nothing dramatic. Just polished enough to say I belonged there without looking like I was trying too hard to prove it. The Whitmore estate sat at the end of a long gravel driveway, lined with bare magnolia trees wrapped in white lights. Through the tall front windows, I could see chandeliers glowing. A string quartet was warming up inside, Pachelbel drifting softly over the boxwood hedges. And then I saw my father. He was standing at the entrance. Not inside welcoming guests, not near the aisle waiting for Paige. Outside, on the gravel, his hands tucked into the pockets of a charcoal vest I had never seen before, standing beside a leased Cadillac Escalade that still had the dealer plate on it. The moment he saw me, he stepped forward. "Athena, you need to leave." I stopped walking. "Excuse me?" "Only family is allowed here. You were not invited." I held up the invitation. The real one. The cream paper. The foil-pressed Crane and Company invitation with my name on it. "I have the invitation right here, Dad." His face did not change. "That was a mistake. You should not have come." I looked past his shoulder. Through the glass doors, I could see Paige in a white Vera Wang gown laughing with one of her bridesmaids. Donna was standing near the entrance in a lavender mother-of-the-bride dress, watching us through the window. She did not come outside. She did not wave. She just watched. "Dad, please do not make a scene." His voice dropped lower. "The guests are inside. Walk away." So I did. I did not beg. I did not raise my voice. I did not give him the reaction he was waiting for. I turned around, pulled my Rimowa suitcase back across the gravel, and walked to the rental car. I did not break down until the doors were locked and the engine was running, and even then, I was not crying over the wedding. I was crying because I had allowed myself to hope. Back at the Hilton, I sat on the edge of the bed in the same navy dress, shoes still on, staring at the muted television for what might have been an hour. The room smelled like industrial carpet cleaner and the lavender sachet I always keep in my carry-on. It felt like another universe from chandeliers, white roses, and Pachelbel. At 8 that evening, I called Rachel. "They did what?" Her voice came through the phone sharp enough to cut glass. I told her everything. Gerald at the entrance, Donna watching from behind the glass, Paige laughing inside in Vera Wang while I stood outside on the gravel, holding an invitation no one had any intention of honoring. "I want to go home," I said. "I am going to rebook my flight." "Do not. Not yet." "Rachel, no, listen to me. Something about this does not make sense. They sent you an invitation. Paige wrote you a personal note. You flew 18 hours, and they turned you away at the door." I heard her set down a coffee mug. People do not go through all that unless they want something from you, or unless they are hiding something. I wanted to disagree. I wanted to tell her that my family did not need a deeper reason. They were perfectly capable of treating me like an inconvenience simply because they could. But Rachel had spent 6 years working as a paralegal. She had learned how to hear the thing beneath the thing. "Give it a few days," she said. "Stay in Charlotte. If nothing happens, fly home Sunday. But something is going to happen. I can feel it." I did not believe her. I opened the British Airways website on my laptop and scrolled through flights for the next morning. My finger hovered over confirm. But I did not click it. Maybe some part of me felt it too. 3 days passed. No one called. I stayed at the Hilton, working remotely from the desk by the window, reviewing audit files for a Zurich-based client who had no idea my personal life was quietly unraveling. That was the comfort of compliance work. Contracts do not have moods. They do not rewrite history. They simply say what they say. On Monday, I made the mistake of opening Instagram. Paige's feed had exploded. The Whitmore estate in golden hour light. Paige and Tyler beneath an arch of white roses. The cake, 5 tiers tall. Probably worth more than some people's monthly rent. The hashtags were everywhere. Sinclair wedding. The perfect day. Forever Redmond. 47 photos. Not one of me. Not one mention. As if I had never flown 18 hours. As if I had never stood on that gravel driveway. As if the invitation with my name on it had never existed. Then I saw my mother's post. Donna had uploaded a collage. Paige as a baby. Paige at prom. Paige with Gerald at the altar. And at the bottom, there was a photo of me and Paige as children, maybe 8 and 3 years old, sitting on the porch in matching sundresses. The caption said, "So proud of both my girls." I stared at the word both until it stopped looking like a real word. She had posted both my girls for the cousins, the old neighbors, and the people who still believed we were a normal family. For the story. Because she could not exactly explain why one of her daughters was missing from every single wedding photo, so she reached 10 years into the past and used an old picture as proof of an inclusion that no longer existed. Then Paige posted a honeymoon teaser. "Bali, here we come." Tagged location, 4 Seasons Resort. I closed the app, shut my laptop, and ate vending machine crackers for dinner. Some performances you can watch. Others, you just have to survive. Tuesday morning, my phone rang at 9:15. "Mom, I almost let it go to voicemail. But the compliance analyst in me has one rule. You do not ignore a call when you do not know what the other side is holding." I answered. "Athena." Donna's voice had no warmth in it. No hello. No how are you. Nothing. "We need to discuss the bill." I sat still. "What bill?" "The venue. The Whitmore estate. The total is $38,000. A pause stretched between us, thin as wire. "How will you be paying?" I sat up straighter. "Mom, what are you talking about? I did not hire a venue." "You signed the contract," she said. My chest went cold. "You are the guarantor. Your name is on the agreement." The room seemed to shift beneath me. I had not signed anything. No one had asked me to sign anything. No one had even mentioned a contract. I never signed a single document for that wedding. There was movement on the other end of the line. Then Gerald's voice came through, sharp and close. He had taken the phone from my mother. "Do not act clueless, Athena. Your name is on that contract. You are the guarantor. You owe this family." I stared at the desk in front of me. "I owe this family for a wedding you refuse to let me enter?" "We will talk about that later. Right now you need to take care of the bill." "Dad, I did not sign anything." "Then who did? A ghost?" I pressed my palm flat against the desk. My heart was racing, but my voice stayed even. "You keep saying there is a contract and my signature is on it. I am telling you clearly, I never signed a guarantor agreement for the Whitmore estate. Not for Paige, not for you, not for anyone." He ended the call. I sat alone in that hotel room and let the same words circle in my mind. Contract, signature, guarantor. I knew exactly what those words meant. I reviewed contracts for a living. I understood what it meant when someone's name appeared on a document they had never touched, and I knew which questions had to come next. That was the moment I stopped being hurt and started paying attention. At 10:30 that same morning, I called the Whitmore estate. The front desk transferred me to event coordination, and a woman named Karen Mitchell answered. Her voice was calm, polished, and professional. The kind of voice that had probably guided hundreds of nervous brides through last-minute problems without ever sounding rushed. Miss Mitchell, my name is Athena Sinclair. I am calling about the Sinclair-Redmond wedding held at your venue on December 14th. I understand there is a guarantor agreement connected to that event. Yes, she said. We do have a guarantor on file for that booking. And the guarantor is listed as Athena Sinclair? That is correct. That is my name, I said, but I did not sign that document. Silence. The kind of silence that tells you someone has just stopped typing. Miss Sinclair, could you repeat that? I never signed a guarantor agreement for this wedding. I was not asked to sign one, and I was not present when it was completed. I would like to request a copy of the document. Another pause. This time her voice came back more carefully. Ma'am, if what you are saying is accurate, this would be a very serious matter for our legal department. I understand. I am requesting a copy through whatever formal process you require. I can provide government-issued identification to confirm who I am. She explained the steps. I needed to submit a written request, include a copy of my passport for identity verification, and their legal team would send a scanned copy within 48 hours. I thanked her, ended the call, and drafted the request letter in 12 minutes. Then I attached a scan of my passport photo page and sent everything through the proper channel. After that, I called Rachel. It is real, I said. There is a contract with my name on it, and I never signed it. Rachel was quiet for exactly 3 seconds. Then she said, Okay, now we work. I had 48 hours before the copy of the contract would arrive. 48 hours to decide what kind of person I was going to be. The calls started on Wednesday. Aunt Caroline was first. Her voice had that warm but firm tone people use when they have already chosen a side and only called to make it sound polite. Athena, honey, your mother is beside herself. She says you promised to cover the venue, and now you are backing out. I know things are complicated, but you need to think about your parents' health. I wanted to say I had never promised anything, but I recognized the script immediately. Donna had already planted the story. Uncle Roger followed with an email, 4 long paragraphs, single-spaced. The subject line was family first. The main point was simple. Family was not about contracts. It was about love, and I should not let money come between us. It sounded like a farewell speech for a relationship he had never bothered to build with me. Then Cousin Beth texted, Just pay it. It is easier for everyone. There were 23 people in the extended Sinclair family. By then, 22 of them seemed to be hearing the same version, that I had made a promise, that I was breaking it, that I was being selfish, distant, and choosing money over blood, so I saved everything. Every text, every voicemail, every email. Compliance work teaches you one lesson before all others. Document everything, especially when someone else is trying to tell your story for you. Then my phone buzzed with a message from a number I almost did not recognize. Cousin Dylan. Hey, something feels off. Mom keeps saying you promised, but I do not think that is the whole story. Want to talk? Dylan was Aunt Caroline's son, 26, quiet, worked in IT. He had always been the observer in the family, the one who noticed things while everyone else was performing. I typed back, Not yet, but keep your eyes open. He replied with a single thumbs up. 1 person out of 23. 1 person who had thought to ask. I saved the thread and put my phone down. The contract was on its way. Then Paige called. It was Thursday afternoon, and I was sitting at the hotel desk reviewing a risk assessment for work when her name appeared on my screen. I answered. Athena. There was no softness in her voice, no warmth, no sisterly hesitation, just the flat tone of someone calling to settle an inconvenience. You need to just pay the bill. I waited. You make 6 figures, she continued. 38,000 is what, like a month's salary for you? You turned me away from your wedding page, and now you want me to pay for it? That was Dad's decision. But you did not stop him. Silence. Then she said, Look, Dad handled the contract months ago. It is done. Just pay the bill, and we can all move on like adults. I never signed anything. Whatever. Dad handled it. Handled it how, exactly? I do not know the details. I just know your name is on the form. Write the check and stop being dramatic. You can afford it. I leaned back in the chair and looked up at the ceiling. Popcorn texture, a faint water stain near the vent, $38,000 for a wedding where I was not allowed past the gravel path. Paige, I said, can you say one honest thing to me? She did not answer. Did you know Dad put my name on that contract? The silence lasted 5 seconds. When you are counting, 5 seconds feels endless. It does not matter, she said. It matters to me. You left this family, Athena. You moved to London and disappeared. You do not get to come back now and act like everyone has wronged you. I ended the call and placed the phone face down on the desk. My hands were steady, not because I was calm, because something had finally become clear. She knew. She had known the entire time. And the worst part was, she did not care. Let me pause here for a second. You just heard what Paige said. Just write the check. As if $38,000 for a wedding I was not even allowed to attend was pocket change. So here is my question for you. If your own sibling called and said that exact line to you, what would you say back? Option 1. Sure, I will pay it right after you apologize on camera. Option 2. I would rather never see that money again. Or option 3. Tell me your own answer in the comments. And if you have not subscribed yet, this is the moment to do it, because this story is about to take a serious turn. Friday morning, Gerald called again. This time his voice had an edge to it. The kind of edge a man uses when he has rehearsed the conversation in front of a mirror and convinced himself he sounds powerful. I talked to a buddy who does real estate law, he said. He says the guarantor agreement is legally binding. You have 30 days to pay, or the venue can pursue legal action against you. A buddy, not an attorney. A buddy who does real estate. For a moment I almost felt sorry for how weak the bluff was. Did your buddy also explain what happens if the guarantor's signature was placed there without permission? Silence. Not ordinary silence. Heavy silence. Nobody did anything wrong, Gerald said, slower now. You are making things up to avoid what you owe. I owe nothing for a wedding I was turned away from, Dad, and I will have the contract in my hands by this afternoon. Then we will see exactly whose name is on it. You think you are so smart now with your London job and your fancy apartment? A judge will not care about any of that. You are welcome to take me to court, I said, but I strongly suggest you speak to a real attorney first, not a buddy. You ungrateful... He ended the call before he finished the sentence. He did not need to finish it. I had been called ungrateful so many times by then that the word had lost all sharpness. It was like a stone worn smooth by years of being thrown and picked back up again. But here is what I noticed. He did not deny it clearly. He redirected, he threatened, he attacked my character. But when I mentioned the signature being used without permission, he went quiet first. Before he said a single word, he went quiet. And that silence told me everything. At noon, Rachel texted, "Contract should hit your inbox today. Ready?" I was ready. Honestly, I had been ready since the day I learned to read fine print for a living. That same evening, Donna called. This time, she was alone. No Gerald in the background, no hard voice taking over the conversation. Her tone had changed completely, softer, shakier, threaded with tears that may or may not have been real. "Athena, I am begging you. Your father cannot sleep. If the venue takes legal action, we could lose the house." "Mom, you could lose the house because someone used my name on a contract without my permission." "Do not say it like that," she snapped. The softness disappeared for half a second. "We did not do anything wrong. We used your information because we had no choice." There it was, hidden inside a denial, a confession. You had no choice? You would have said no. And that should have been the end of it. A long breath came through the phone. Behind her, I could hear the kitchen clock ticking, the same brass clock that had hung above the stove for my entire childhood. "You have always been like this," she said. "Cold, even as a child." There it was. The tears were gone. The accusation had arrived. "Your sister needed this wedding. Your father and I. Our credit has been ruined since the business started struggling. The venue required a guarantor. We had your social security number, your tax records, they were still in your old room. I closed my eyes. So you went through my personal documents and put my name on a legal agreement without telling me. We did not take anything from you. You are our daughter. That is what family does. No, Mom. Family asks. You do not know what it is like. You sit in London in your little apartment, acting above everyone, and you have no idea what we have been dealing with. I know exactly what you have been dealing with because you just told me. You went through my private documents, used my name on a legal agreement, and then kept me away from the wedding so I would not find out. Now she was crying. Whether it was guilt, panic, or frustration, I could not tell. So I said nothing. I let the silence do the work. By Saturday, the family campaign had reached full volume. Aunt Caroline left a voicemail so polished it sounded like Donna had written it herself. Think about your parents' health, sweetheart. Your mother has been having chest pains. Is $38,000 really worth putting this much stress on your father? Then Uncle Roger sent another email, shorter this time. Subject line, disappointed. One line stood out. We did not raise you to be this kind of person. We, as if he had played any role in raising me at all. Then Cousin Beth sent me a text that was clearly meant for someone else. She is being impossible. Mom says she will not budge. It looked like she had copied it from a family group chat and sent it to me by mistake. A group chat I had never been added to. 22 people discussing me, none of them actually speaking to me. Then Dylan texted again. Aunt Donna is organizing a family brunch next Sunday at Mom's house. She keeps saying it is to discuss the situation, but from what I am hearing, I think she is planning to pressure you in front of everyone. Just wanted to warn you. I read the message twice. A family brunch, an audience, a stage. Donna was assembling the jury. What she did not know was that the contract could arrive at any moment, and what she could not imagine was that I might walk into that brunch carrying the one thing she was most afraid of. The truth, in writing. I texted Dylan back. I will be there. Then I called Rachel. They are setting up a public intervention, I said. Next Sunday. Good, Rachel said, and I could hear the smile in her voice. Let them. 22 family members, one story being passed around, and not one person had asked to see the contract. That was about to change. Saturday night, alone in the hotel room, I almost gave up. I had the British Airways website open on my laptop. There was a seat available on the Sunday morning flight to Heathrow. Row 34, aisle seat, change fee, $260. My cursor rested over the confirm button like a hand on a doorknob. London was 18 hours away. My flat, my desk, my normal life. The life that made sense. Rachel showed up at 9 with 2 coffees from the lobby and did not knock. She used the spare key card I had given her on Wednesday. Close the laptop. I am just looking. No, she said, you are running. She set the coffee on the nightstand and sat at the foot of the bed. And running is exactly what they are counting on. Gerald is betting that you will fly back to London, quietly deal with the bill, and never make him explain what he did. I do not care about making him explain himself. This is not about an explanation, she said. This is about making sure they can never put your name on anything again. That sentence hit me harder than anything else she had said all week. The venue's legal team should send the contract copy by Monday at the latest, she continued. Just wait one more day. I looked at the screen. Row 34A, the change fee, the departure time. One more day, I said. One more day. I closed the laptop. Rachel stayed for another hour. We did not talk about the wedding. We did not talk about the contract. She told me about a case at her firm, some landlord dispute with a tenant who had kept every receipt. Normal things, human things. After she left, I lay in the dark and listened to the ice machine humming somewhere down the hall. One more day. That was all she had asked for, and I had almost said no. I did not really sleep that night. At 2 a.m, I was lying on top of the hotel comforter, still dressed, staring at a ceiling I had memorized over the past 11 nights. I could have drawn the water stain near the vent from memory. Its outline looked like a country on a map nobody ever visits. And then my mind went somewhere I usually do not let it go. I was 14 again. I had won the regional science fair with a project on water filtration using activated charcoal, second place in the state. The school gave me a small trophy and a certificate in a plastic frame. My mother was supposed to come to the ceremony. She did not. Gerald was supposed to drive me home. He took Paige to buy new soccer cleats instead. So I rode the city bus home alone, with the trophy sitting in a plastic bag on my lap because I did not own a backpack big enough to hold it. When I got home, I placed the trophy on the kitchen counter. The next morning, it had been moved to the top of the refrigerator, hidden behind a cereal box. Paige's soccer team photo was still right in the center of the refrigerator door. Lying in that hotel room 20 years later, I finally understood something I had been avoiding. I had not flown 18 hours for a wedding. I had flown 18 hours to see whether they would finally open the door. And they had not. The hardest part was not being turned away. The hardest part was realizing I had still shown up hoping they would not. At some point I must have fallen asleep because I woke up at 7 with my shoes still on and a headache pressing behind my eyes. The coffee Rachel had left was cold on the nightstand. My phone had one notification, an email from the Whitmore estate. Subject line, document request, Sinclair event. I sat up, opened it, and everything changed. But before I could open the attachment, my phone rang. Gerald, 7:15 on a Sunday morning. Athena. His voice had that rehearsed calmness again, like a man gripping the steering wheel on an icy road and pretending he is not afraid. I hope you have had time to think clearly. The venue has been very patient, but they will not wait forever. Interesting timing for this call. There is nothing interesting about it. I talked to my buddy again, he said. The real estate guy. He confirmed that a guarantor agreement is enforceable. Your name is on it. End of story. Did your buddy also tell you what happens if someone put my name on that document without my permission? Silence. This time the pause lasted longer, a full 4 seconds. No one did anything wrong, he said. You keep throwing around serious words like they mean something. They do mean something, Dad. In North Carolina, that kind of signature problem can become a very serious legal issue. Another pause. I could hear him breathing now. Shallow. Controlled. You want to play attorney? Fine. But do not come running back when a judge sees that contract with your name on it in black and white. I will not be running anywhere, I said. I will be handing over my passport with my actual signature on it. Then we can let the handwriting speak for itself. You are unbelievable. After everything I have the contract, by the way. Nothing. Total silence. The venue emailed it this morning. I am looking at the attachment right now. I heard him swallow. It was the loudest sound on the call. We will see whose story holds up, I said. He hung up without another word. No threats, no lecture, no ungrateful. Just a click. Then the dial tone. I opened the attachment, but I did not look at the contract yet. I needed coffee first. I needed my hands steady. While the Keurig brewed, my phone lit up. Dylan. He had sent a screenshot from the family group chat, the one I had never been added to. I zoomed in and read the messages one by one. Donna. Athena refuses to honor her commitment. She has always been selfish. I do not know where we went wrong with her. Gerald. She makes over $200,000 a year and still will not help her own sister. Let that sink in. Paige. I did not want to say this, but she has always been jealous of me, even when we were kids. Aunt Caroline. Maybe we should all step away from her. She clearly does not value family. Uncle Roger. Heartbreaking. Gerald and Donna deserve better. 22 people, all of them helping build a version of me that did not exist. A cold, selfish, jealous woman who had broken a promise and abandoned her sister. A woman with money who chose to be cruel. Not one of them had seen the contract. Not one of them had asked to see it. They did not need facts. They already had a story. And stories are much easier to believe when they come from your mother. I screenshotted the entire thread, every message, every timestamp. Then I opened a notes file and organized everything in order. Compliance training again. Document everything, especially when people are writing your story without your permission. Dylan sent another message a few seconds later. Sorry, I just thought you should see it. Thank you, I replied. I mean it, he wrote back. Whatever you are planning, I am on your side. I put the phone down and looked at my laptop. The email from the Whitmore estate was still open. One attachment, a PDF, 11 pages, They were all busy deciding who I was. What they did not understand was that I knew how to read the details. I opened the PDF. Page 1 listed the venue information. The Whitmore Estate, December 14th, Sinclair Redmond Wedding, event package, Grand Magnolia. Total cost, $38,000. Page 2 showed the payment terms, 50% due at signing, the remaining balance due within 30 days after the event. Then came page 3, the guarantor agreement, a separate signature page, clean, official, simple. The guarantor section read, I, Athena Sinclair, hereby guarantee full payment of the remaining balance in the event that the primary contracting parties default. And at the bottom was a signature, Athena Sinclair, but it was not mine. I stared at the handwriting. Whoever had signed it had tried to copy me, the long tail on the A, the way I loop my S. The general shape was familiar enough to make my stomach turn, but the pressure was wrong. The slant was too sharp. The lowercase letters did not connect the way mine do. It looked like someone had practiced from an old sample, maybe a tax form, maybe a bank document, something they found in my old room and studied just long enough to fool someone who had no reason to question it. Close enough to fool a stranger. Not close enough to fool me. I placed my passport beside the laptop and opened it to the photo page. There was my real signature in navy ink. Firm, clean, unmistakable. The two signatures did not match. That is not my signature, I said out loud to the empty hotel room. And I can prove it. I called Rachel. She answered on the first ring. I am looking at it, I said. How bad? My name. Someone else's handwriting. It is not even close, Rachel. She exhaled. That is exactly what we thought. An unauthorized signature on a guarantor agreement means the document can be challenged. If they verify that you did not sign it, you should not be responsible for that balance. I leaned back in the chair. They did not just lie about me. They became me on paper. In ink, Rachel said quietly, without permission. Within an hour, Rachel was at my hotel door with her laptop under one arm and a legal pad already half covered in notes. We sat at the small desk by the window, 2 coffees between us, with the PDF open on the screen. Here is what we do, she said, uncapping her pen. First, you write a formal letter to the venue's legal department. You state clearly that you did not sign the guarantor agreement. You state that the signature is not yours. Then you request a verification review. And I attach my passport page with my real signature for comparison. Exactly. We also include a short statement of facts. You were not present when that document was signed. You were not told it existed. And you never gave anyone permission to sign anything on your behalf. I drafted the letter in 20 minutes. Rachel reviewed it twice, tightened 2 sentences, and added 1 line requesting that the original document be preserved for possible handwriting analysis. What happens if the venue confirms the signature is not mine? I asked. Then the balance goes back where it belongs, she said. To the actual contracting parties, your parents, possibly Paige, depending on how the agreement was structured. And if the venue decides to report it? Rachel looked at me over her reading glasses. Then that is their decision, not yours. You are not creating the problem, Athena. You are telling the truth. I nodded slowly. I do not want to start some official case. You do not have to, she said. You only have to protect yourself. I sent the letter and supporting documents at 2:14 p.m. certified email. Read receipt requested. Then I sat back and looked up at the ceiling. Now what? Rachel capped her pen. Now we wait for the venue to respond, and we get ready for that brunch. She smiled. I did not. But I also did not book the flight home. Tuesday afternoon, Dylan texted again. Brunch is confirmed for Sunday. Aunt Caroline's house? Noon. Your mom keeps calling it a family discussion, Dylan wrote. She told everyone the goal is to help Athena see reason. I read the message in a coffee shop near the hotel. Outside, Charlotte's winter light was thin and gray, and the parking lot smelled like cold asphalt and drive-through breakfast. Help Athena see reason. Which really meant this. Sit me at a table, surround me with people who had already decided I was wrong, and keep applying pressure until I wrote the check. I texted Rachel. They are setting the stage. Sunday, Aunt Caroline's house. Are you going? She asked. Yes. You sure? They want a public conversation, I wrote back. They will get one, just not the version they rehearsed. The plan was simple. I would bring 3 things: the contract copy with the signature that was not mine, the letter I had sent to the venue, and my passport, open to the page with my real signature. No emotional speech, no yelling, no dramatic accusations, just paper. That is what I do for a living. I place documents in front of people and let the room understand what the facts mean. Dylan confirmed the guest list: Gerald and Donna, Paige and Tyler, Aunt Caroline and Uncle Roger, Cousin Beth, Cousin Dylan, a few others. About 15 people total. 15 people. 1 signature I had never written, and an entire family that had been handed a story about me that was not true. Donna had organized this brunch to corner me. She had arranged the audience, controlled the version of events, and prepared everyone before I even walked through the door. She thought she was building a wall around me. What she was really building was my stage. I ordered another coffee, opened my laptop, and reviewed the contract one more time. Every clause, every line, every letter of the name someone else had written. My name. And nobody signs my name but me. Thursday morning, the venue's legal department replied. The email was short and professional, the way serious things usually are. Dear Ms. Sinclair, we have received your formal claim regarding the guarantor agreement associated with the Sinclair Redmond event. Upon preliminary review, we are initiating a signature verification process. During this review, all collection activity directed towards you has been suspended. We will notify all parties of the outcome upon completion. I read it 3 times. Then I forwarded it to Rachel. They would not pause collection unless they saw a real issue, Rachel said when she called. This matters. They believe you. 2 hours later, another email arrived. This one was not from the legal department. It was from Karen Mitchell, the event coordinator, sent from her Whitmore estate address. The subject line said only, FYI. Miss Sinclair, I should probably not be saying this, but I have been thinking about it since your call. I was the person who processed the original guarantor paperwork. The person who dropped off the signed form was an older gentleman. He submitted the document at our front desk and signed while standing at the counter. I remember because he seemed rushed. An older gentleman. At the front desk, signing the form at the counter. Gerald. My father had walked into that venue, picked up a pen, and written my name as if it belonged to him, as if I belonged to him. I saved both emails. Then I printed copies at the Hotel Business Center and added them to the folder. The contract copy, the venue's review notice, Karen's statement, my passport signature page, 4 documents, clean, organized, clear. I tucked the folder into my carry-on and zipped it shut. Sunday was 3 days away. The brunch was set. The audience was ready. All that was left was showing up. Sunday morning, I ironed a white cotton blouse and paired it with a navy blazer, dark trousers, and low heels. Professional, controlled. The outfit of someone who had come to present facts, not emotions. The manila folder sat on the desk, contract copy, venue letters, passport page. I went through everything one last time. Every page was in order, every sentence was readable, every detail mattered. Rachel called at 10. How are you? Steady. Good. Call me the second it is over. I drove to Aunt Caroline's house in the rental car. It was a brick colonial in the Dilworth neighborhood, with a wide front porch and a minivan in the driveway. 3 other cars were already parked along the curb: Gerald's pickup, Uncle Roger's Buick, and a silver Honda I assumed belonged to Paige and Tyler. The Escalade from the wedding was nowhere to be seen. Apparently that had been rented too. I sat in the car for a full minute. Engine off, hands on the wheel. 15 people were inside. Most of them had already made up their minds about me. Most of them had been given a version of the story where I was the problem, the successful sister, the selfish sister, the one who supposedly made a promise and then backed away, the one who chose money over family. I reached for the folder on the passenger seat and felt its weight in my hand. 4 documents, 11 pages, 1 truth. Then I got out of the car, locked the door, and walked up the front steps. The door was unlocked. Inside, the house smelled like quiche and fresh coffee. I could hear voices from the dining room, low, serious voices, the sound of people preparing for a confrontation they thought they were going to win. I stepped into the room. 15 faces turned toward me. Gerald saw me first. His jaw tightened. Donna gave me a smile that never reached her eyes. Paige looked down at the floor. There was no empty chair waiting for me at the table. Cousin Dylan stood up immediately and pulled one in from the kitchen. "All right, we are about to walk into that brunch. I have the contract copy, I have the venue's letter, and I have my real signature for comparison. So here is my question for you. What should I do first? Option 1. Place the contract on the table immediately and let the document speak. Option 2. Let Gerald and Donna tell their version first, then take it apart piece by piece. Or option 3. Maybe there is something I have not thought of. Tell me in the comments. And if you have stayed with the story this long, you already know this is the kind of moment worth sharing." Gerald stood at the head of the table with a silver fork resting untouched beside his plate. The quiche in front of him had not been touched either. He had the posture of a man who believed every room belonged to him the second he walked in. "I want to thank everyone for coming," he began, as if this were a business meeting and not a carefully arranged family confrontation. "We are here because of a difficult situation." He looked around the table, then settled his eyes on me. "Athena made a commitment to help pay for Paige's wedding. She signed a contract with the venue, and now she is refusing to honor it." Aunt Caroline nodded. Uncle Roger folded his arms. The room had chosen its side before I had even taken a seat. Then Donna spoke, gently dabbing the corners of her eyes with a cloth napkin. "We never wanted this to become a family issue," she said. "We have always tried to handle things privately, but Athena has left us with no choice." It was polished. Too polished. Gerald was playing the wounded father. Donna was playing the heartbroken mother. They had either rehearsed every word, or they had repeated the lie so many times that it had started to feel real to them. Then Paige spoke. She was sitting beside Tyler at the far end of the table, her eyes red, her voice small and fragile. "I just wanted my sister at my wedding," she said. "I wrote her a personal note. I invited her, and now she has turned everything into a fight about money." Tyler sat next to her in silence, his brow slightly drawn together. He had not said a word. Gerald turned his attention back to me with the calm confidence of someone who was certain the room was already his. "Athena, we are giving you a chance to do the right thing in front of your family." I sat at the far end of the table with the folder resting in my lap. I still had not spoken. I let them finish. Every sentence, every rehearsed line, every tear. Let them build their version of the story as high as they wanted. They were going to need it. Then the chorus began right on cue. Uncle Roger went first. "Athena, we have always seen you as the responsible one, the successful one. Just do the right thing." Aunt Caroline followed. "Your parents could lose their home over this. Is that really what you want?" Then Cousin Beth, barely lifting her eyes from her phone, added, "You make good money. Honestly, it is embarrassing that this is even a discussion." Each comment landed like another stone on the pile. They were not asking questions. They were delivering a verdict. Through all of it, I kept watching Tyler. He was leaning back in his chair, looking from Gerald to Donna to Paige with an expression I recognized immediately. It was the look of someone hearing a story for the first time and realizing it did not match the version he had been told. He leaned toward Paige and whispered just loud enough for me to hear. "What contract?" Paige placed a hand on his arm. "Shh, I will explain later." But Tyler did not look away from her. His jaw tightened. Gerald, encouraged by the silence around the table, turned back to me with something close to victory in his face. "See," he said. "Even your family agrees. You made a commitment. We have the contract. You signed it." Aunt Caroline reached across the table slightly. "Just say yes, Athena. Say you will cover it, and we can all move forward." 15 faces, 14 of them waiting for me to fold, and one, Dylan, sitting near the corner of the table watching me quietly, as if he already knew exactly what was in the folder on my lap. Gerald spread his hands. "She cannot even defend herself," he said, "because she knows she signed it." I looked at him. I held his gaze for 3 full seconds. Then I stood. The chair scraped against the hardwood floor. The entire room went quiet. "I have been listening," I said. "Now it is my turn." I opened the manila folder and placed the first document in the center of the table, the guarantor agreement, printed on Whitmore Estate letterhead. "This is the contract everyone keeps talking about," I said. "The guarantor agreement for Paige's wedding at the Whitmore estate. My name is on it." I pointed to the signature line. "But that is not my signature." Then I placed my passport beside it, opened to the page with my real signature. "This is my actual signature. Firm. Slightly slanted. The same looped S and long-tailed A I had used since I was 17. Look at them side by side." Aunt Caroline reached for the contract first. She held it near the passport and narrowed her eyes. Uncle Roger leaned forward. Cousin Beth finally put down her phone. The signatures did not match. Not when you really looked. Not when anyone finally bothered to look. "The Whitmore estate has already confirmed they are reviewing the signature," I said. Then I placed the venue's letter on the table. "Their legal department has suspended all collection activity against me while they investigate." Gerald's face went pale, like all the color had been pulled out of it at once. "That is ridiculous," he said. "You signed it over the phone, or electronically." "Dad," I said, keeping my voice steady, "the venue's event coordinator confirmed that an older gentleman brought this form in person and signed it at the front desk." The room absorbed that sentence all at once. I watched it land on Aunt Caroline's face, then Uncle Roger's, then Tyler's. Gerald opened his mouth. Nothing came out. For the first time in my life, I watched my father have no answer. Aunt Caroline spoke first. She put the contract back on the table like it had burned her fingers. "Gerald," she said slowly, "is this true? You signed her name?" We... His voice cracked. "It was for Paige. We had no other option. Our credit was ruined after the store went under. The venue required a guarantor." Uncle Roger stood so quickly his chair scraped against the floor. "You used your own daughter's name on a legal document without her permission?" His face had gone red from the collar up. "Gerald, do you understand how serious that is?" Donna reached for Gerald's arm. "We were desperate. You do not know what it has been like." "Desperate?" Aunt Caroline's voice turned sharp. "Donna, I asked you last month directly if Athena had agreed to help. You looked me in the eye and said yes." Donna said nothing. At the far end of the table, Tyler pushed his chair back and turned toward Paige. "Wait, you told me your parents were covering the venue. You told me Athena was only helping with flowers." Paige reached for his hand. "Tyler, sit down." He pulled back. "You knew?" His voice was not loud. It was worse than loud. It was the voice of someone quietly rearranging everything he thought he knew about the person beside him. "You knew your father used your sister's name on that contract, and you said nothing?" "It was complicated." "No," Tyler said. "That is not complicated. That is wrong." The room had split open. Gerald and Donna were on one side, exposed and cornered. Paige sat beside them, trying to hold on to Tyler's hand while he kept moving away from her, and I stood at the end of the table with my folder open, saying nothing more. I did not have to. The documents were doing exactly what documents do. The room was recalculating. Voices started to overlap. Donna crying, Uncle Roger demanding answers, Tyler staring at Paige like he was seeing a stranger. I raised one hand. "I am not finished." The room went quiet immediately. "I am not here to make this bigger than it already is," I said. "That is not why I came." I looked at each person at the table, one by one. "But I want everyone in this room to understand 3 things. I held up one finger. "First, I never signed that contract. I have no legal or moral obligation to pay $1 of that $38,000. A second finger. "Second, I flew 18 hours to be at Paige's wedding. I stood outside that venue with an invitation in my hand, and I was turned away at the door by the same person who put my name on that agreement because he was afraid I would find out. A third finger. Third, I do not hate anyone in this room, but I will not carry debts that were never mine, and I will not apologize for refusing to do it." Donna's voice came through her tears. "Athena, please." "Mom." I lowered my hand. "I am done being the person you call only when you need something paid, signed, explained, or blamed." Gerald still had not spoken. He was staring at the contract on the table as if it were a mirror. I gathered the documents slowly and placed them back into the folder. "Kindness is not a contract," I said, "and being family is not a blank check." Then I tucked the folder under my arm and walked past the table, past the quiche, past the coffee, past the silence. Cousin Dylan met my eyes as I passed. He gave me a small nod. I walked out the front door, down the porch steps, and into the thin December light. Nobody followed me, but this time the silence did not feel like rejection. It felt like respect. I was halfway to the rental car when I heard voices through the open dining room window. Tyler's voice was tight and controlled, but it carried. "You lied to me about the money. You lied about your sister. What else did you lie about, Paige?" "Tyler, I did not lie. We handled it differently. Your father used your sister's name on a legal document and you knew. It was not like that." "Then explain what it was like," he said, "because from where I am standing, I married into a family that signs other people's names and then keeps them out of the wedding to hide it." I did not stay to hear more. I got into the car, placed the folder on the passenger seat, and started the engine. In the rearview mirror, I saw Dylan walk out the front door and down the porch steps. He came to the driver's side window. "That took courage," he said quietly. "You are the one who sent me the screenshots." "You did plenty." He pushed his hands into his jacket pockets. "Uncle Gerald has not looked up from the table. Aunt Donna is locked in the bathroom. Paige is trying to keep Tyler from leaving." "Is he leaving?" "I do not know, but he said he needs space. I heard Paige say something about canceling the honeymoon." I let that settle. 4 Seasons Bali. The trip they had teased on Instagram 3 weeks earlier. Gone. "Athena," Dylan said. "For what it is worth, most of the room is on your side now. Aunt Caroline told Uncle Gerald he should be ashamed, and that is Aunt Caroline." "Thanks, Dylan." He stepped back. "Drive safe." I pulled away from Aunt Caroline's brick colonial and did not look in the rearview mirror again. The highway was mostly empty. The sky was wide and gray, and I drove with the radio off because some silences are earned. Monday morning, I was in the hotel lobby checking out at the front desk when the email arrived from the Whitmore Estate Legal Department. Subject, Guarantor Agreement Determination. "Dear Ms. Sinclair, following our investigation, including handwriting comparison and witness statements from venue staff, we have determined that the guarantor signature on the event guarantee agreement dated August 12th does not match the verified signature of Athena Sinclair. Accordingly, the guarantor agreement is hereby voided in its entirety. All financial liability for the outstanding balance of $38,000 reverts to the primary contracting parties, Gerald Sinclair and Donna Sinclair. A revised invoice will be issued to the primary parties under separate cover." I read it standing at the counter, suitcase handle in one hand, phone in the other. Voided in its entirety. The desk clerk asked if I needed anything else. I said no. Then I walked out to the car, sat in the driver's seat, and read the email one more time. After that, I called Rachel. "It is done," I said. "Tell me." "Voided, all of it. The balance goes back to Gerald and Donna." She let out a long breath. "You owe nothing." I looked at the email again. "I owe nothing." A second email had come in while I was still on the phone. It was the venue's revised invoice, sent directly to Gerald and Donna. I was copied on it. "Please remit payment of $38,000 within 60 days. Failure to comply may result in formal legal action." 60 days, $38,000. For a wedding they had thrown to look like people they were not, using a name that was never theirs to use. I set the phone in the cup holder and drove to the airport. The flight home lasted 18 hours. I slept through 14 of them. It was the deepest sleep I had had in weeks. Paige called 3 days later. By then I was back in London, standing in my kitchen in Canary Wharf, watching the Thames turn silver in the late afternoon light. Her voice sounded different, smaller. The confidence was gone. No, just write the check. No, you can afford it. No pretending this was all my problem to solve. "Tyler canceled Bali," she said. "He says he cannot trust me until I tell him the truth about everything." "That sounds like a conversation you need to have with your husband, Paige." "He wants me to use the honeymoon deposit to help pay the venue, $8,000. "Are you going to?" Silence. Then, quietly, "I think I have to." I poured hot water over a tea bag and let the pause sit between us. "Athena," she said, "I need help." I closed my eyes. "Could you talk to Tyler? Tell him I am not a bad person. Tell him I just—" "No. Please. That is your marriage, Paige. Those are your words to find. I cannot be your bridge, not when you are the one who burned ours." She started crying then, not the polished tears from the brunch. These were real. The kind that come when all the angles are gone and the only thing left is the shape of what you did. I was wrong, she said. I know I was wrong. Knowing is not the same as fixing. Then how do I fix it? You start with the truth, with Tyler, with yourself, and you stop treating other people's names like tools you are entitled to use. The call ended a minute later. No resolution, no emotional reunion, no perfect sister moment. Just two sisters, separated by an ocean, a signature that was never mine, and the kind of distance honesty creates before it can ever heal. I drank my tea by the window and watched a barge move slowly down the river. Some things take time. I was learning to let them. Gerald called on a Thursday, late afternoon for him, evening for me. I was reviewing a client report at my desk when his name appeared on the screen. I almost did not answer, but the man on the other end was not the man I expected. The venue is threatening formal action, he said. His voice had no sharpness left in it, no authority. It sounded like a voice that had been folded carefully and put away. I am going to have to sell the truck, he continued, and some equipment from the store. You put yourself in this position, Dad. I know. 2 words, no deflection, no so-called legal advice from a friend, no insult, just, I know. I did not think, he said, then stopped. No, that is not true. I thought you would just pay. I thought that was what you do. You thought because I had the money, I would cover it and never ask questions. Yes, because that is what I have always done. Handled things quietly, gone back to London, avoided making a scene. Yes. I looked out the window at the lights along the wharf. Across the river, a crane was moving over a new building site, its red light blinking in the dark. There is something else, he said. I said nothing. The venue was the big one, but I also put your name on the rental agreement for the tables and chairs. Another $4,500, $42,500, all in my name, without one word to me. Dad, I am not going to lecture you. The venue already removed me from the agreement. I am out. Whatever happens now, the payments, the truck, the consequences, those are yours. I am sorry, Athena. I hear you. I mean it. I know you do, but sorry does not erase what happened on that paperwork, and it does not erase being told I was not family at my own sister's wedding. He was quiet for a long time. I know, he said again. Then he ended the call. I had already been back in London for a week, but the story kept settling inside me like sediment in a glass, slowly, layer by layer, until finally I could see through to the bottom. The morning after Gerald's call, I went for a walk along the Thames before work. The river was the color of pewter, and the air was cold enough to sting. I passed the same joggers, the same man walking his terrier near West Ferry Circus. Then my phone buzzed. Aunt Caroline. Athena, I owe you an apology, a real one. I should have asked for your side before taking anyone's word. I'm sorry. Then Uncle Roger, a text this time, not an email. I said things I should not have said. I was wrong. Then Dylan. You are the strongest person I know, seriously. I read each message on a bench near the river. 3 apologies from people who had been ready to cut me off a week earlier. But nothing from Gerald, nothing from Donna, nothing from Paige. The 3 people who actually owed me the words. I put my phone away and watched a tourist boat cut through the gray water. Winning did not feel the way I thought it would. I had imagined something clean, a sense of closure, a door clicking shut. Instead, it felt like cleaning out a wound, necessary, unavoidable, but it still stings. Rachel called that evening. How are you? Honestly? Honestly? Relieved, sad, tired, all 3 at once. All 3 at once sounds about right. Then she told me about a new case at her firm, a contractor dispute. Nothing dramatic. Normal things, human things. The same kind of grounding she had given me in that hotel room, the night I almost booked the flight home. Some people hold you up by being extraordinary. Rachel held me up by being steady. 3 months later, life looked different for everyone. Gerald gave up the Cadillac Escalade. It turned out to be a 36-month lease he had taken specifically for the wedding. Another performance. He also sold what was left of the building supply inventory. Between the truck, the equipment, and a small loan from Uncle Roger, he managed to pay $22,000 toward the venue balance. The remaining amount, roughly $20,000 including the table rental, was turned into a monthly payment plan, $500 a month. Gerald and Donna's retirement moved at least 4 years farther away. Donna got a job. For the first time in 30 years, she was working part-time as a cashier at a grocery store on Sardis Road. I heard that from Dylan, not from her. Paige and Tyler were still together, but the honeymoon was gone. Paige had given up the $8,000 Bali deposit and put it toward the venue balance. They were in couples counseling. Tyler's condition for staying was simple. Paige had to be completely open about money from that point forward. Every account, every statement, every dollar explained. The venue decided not to take the matter further through official channels. In situations like this, that often happens. A payment plan is easier, faster, and cleaner than dragging everyone into a bigger process. So Gerald would not end up with a permanent legal record. He would end up with debt. He would end up with a damaged reputation, and he would have to live with the fact that the truth came out in front of the same people whose respect he had spent his life trying to perform for. Then, in March, a letter arrived at my flat. There was no return address on the envelope, but I recognized the handwriting immediately. Donna's careful, slanted print. The letter was short, 1 page. I have no right to ask anything from you, but I want you to know I am learning what it means to earn a relationship instead of demanding one. I set the letter on my kitchen table beside my tea. I did not write back, not because I was angry, because I was not ready, and for the first time in my life, I allowed that to be enough. London carried on. The Thames changed color with the seasons, from pewter to slate, then to something almost green when spring finally arrived. I went to work. I read contracts. I caught details and inconsistencies that saved clients money they would probably never know about. Then I came home to my flat in Canary Wharf, made tea, and looked out at the river. But something inside me had shifted. I started saying yes to things I used to decline. A dinner invitation from a colleague, a weekend trip to Edinburgh with Rachel when she came to visit in April, a phone call with Dylan that lasted an hour and somehow covered nothing important and everything that mattered. For years, I had confused self-reliance with isolation. I had built a life that was clean, organized, and completely mine. But somewhere along the way, mine had started to mean alone. The trip to Charlotte did not magically fix that, but it cracked the wall just enough to let some light in. In May, I called Paige. It was a short call. We did not talk about the contract. We did not talk about the venue. We did not talk about the $38,000. There were no dramatic apologies, no accusations, no perfect ending wrapped in music. Just two sisters talking for the first time in a long time, without an agenda hiding underneath every word. "How is work?" she asked. "Busy. Good busy." "How is Tyler?" "He is—" She paused. "We are working on it. Counseling helps." "Good." A quiet moment passed. Then she said, "Athena?" "Yeah?" "I am glad you called." That was all. No grand reconciliation, no tearful forgiveness scene, just a door left open. Not because anyone had fully earned it yet, but because keeping it locked forever was costing me more than I had realized. Strength is not about carrying everyone's weight. It is about knowing which burdens are actually yours and putting down the ones that never belonged to you. I had finally put mine down, and for the first time in years, my hands were free. It is evening in London now. The sky over Canary Wharf has turned that particular late spring blue, deep around the edges and pale gold where the city lights touch the river. I am sitting by the window in my flat with a cup of Earl Grey that has gone lukewarm, which, honestly, is how I prefer it. Sometimes I still think about that day. The gravel path, the white peonies, the string quartet playing behind the doors of a venue I was not allowed to enter. Leave. Only family is allowed. My father said that to me in front of a door he had already closed, and in a strange way he was right. Only family was allowed. The problem was, he had forgotten what family actually means. Family is not a performance staged for an audience. It is not a document signed with someone else's hand. It is not a bill pushed across a table with the expectation that someone will pay it just because they share your last name. Family is made of the people who show up, not because they owe you, because they choose to. It is Rachel, bringing coffee to a hotel room and telling me to close the laptop. It is Dylan, sending one screenshot that changed everything. It is maybe someday the version of Paige who called in May and said, "I am glad you called," and actually meant it. I keep my passport on the shelf. The signature inside is mine, clean, certain, untouched by anyone else. My name is Athena Sinclair. I am 34 years old. I work in compliance. I live alone in a flat by the river. And I am still learning that saying no to what hurts you can be the same thing as saying yes to who you are. Nobody signs my name but me. And that is enough. Finally, that is enough. That is my story. And if you are still here, thank you. If this connected with you, I would love to hear from you. Option 1. Have you ever had to set a boundary with your own family, even when it cost you something? Option 2. Have you ever been treated like the family ATM, the person everyone calls when they need something, but never when they just want you? Or option 3. Tell me something completely different. Your story, your words. Drop it in the comments. And if you want more stories like this one, check the description. I linked a few others that hit just as deeply. Until next time, remember this. Your name belongs to you. Your signature belongs to you. Do not let anyone write it for you.